Hi everyone, it's Morris here. So I just today discovered that that video I posted, just sort of walking through my kind of enemy AI setup, uh, was at a really low resolution and was all blurry and mushy. So I decided, you know what, I'll re-record it, and hopefully this time will actually make a little bit more sense. Um, as the when I recorded that first one, I was lacking a lot of sleep, and so figured this time around I'm a little. My brain is a little bit more put together. So again, this isn't just to make sure there's no confusion. This isn't a tutorial. I'm not walking you through how to do this. I'm just sort of breaking down what I did, trying to reverse engineer it to sort of maybe help anyone who might find this useful. Like it's not a how-to. This is just a how I did. Um, so let's get on with the show. I figure we'll start at the top, and well, let's see. First off, what you're seeing here is three of my enemies, and the camera over there, and just like a kind of a empty version of my landscape. So let's get to business here. So at the top, the very first thing, I just have best before first drawing do something, right? So what's it doing? All it's doing is setting up a few variables right off the top. The health is the player's health, and E1, E2, E3 are just E1 is like one of my enemies. E2 is or for my other enemy, and E3. So if each enemy that I create will have to have its own E something variable, and each variable number will control what state that enemy is in. So 0 is just kind of in its default nothing state, which is basically just sitting around, chilling around a campfire, and which is what my intention is. That's what they'll be doing. These guys are just sitting around, and this guy's kind of on his knees, keeping his hands warm by the fire. And yeah, so let's move on from there. Let's look at the camera. Um, so the camera, there isn't a whole lot going on in the camera. It's pretty straightforward. It's a first-person shooter. When a key is pressed, I just set it up just for this prototyping purposes. I just have a basic shoot thing going on. Nothing too exciting there. And the collision thing. Most of anything that's happening with my camera is actually going to be based around this hitbox that I put around the camera. Because why did I do this? I don't know. I think it just made more sense to do it that way. Um, so this is just a typical setup. This player, my health, my tag is player, attacks enemies. Um, I don't even think it matters the activation radius, and well, initially I know the purpose. Oh yeah, okay. The purpose of why I have all this stuff on a box and not on the camera is because this is what I'm using as a hitbox when my characters attack me. They're not shooting at me or anything. They're using their hands to swipe or punch me or whatever. And I thought it made more sense to use an actual hitbox. And so this kind of has a pretty decent setup. Like, as long as my health is at 100, I can kind of control my health this way. So every time it gets hit, it will subtract 5 from my health. So, and yeah, let me just double check that set or change variable. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, okay. And now let's go down. These are just showing my variables so I can bug fix. And let's just look at one of my enemies. Pretty much they're all identical. So all we need to do is just look at one, and then I pretty much copy and paste more or less. So let's start at the top there. I have all my character stuff more or less added to a null object. My enemy boy is just going for the ride. He doesn't have any behaviors or anything. What I have him doing though is just by default is cycling through this animation of just him sitting around. The reason I think why, and again this might be just me doing it wrong, why I'm not using the game behavior for triggering the character's animation was because I found, and I noticed this in other people's tutorials, I was like, when I was trying to learn how to do this online, is that the game actor for the enemies, it seems to just like go to that pose of that, like on like what, like if it's stand a walk animation or whatever, it just goes to that pose and it just freezes. It doesn't actually cycle through that animation. Now again, I'm probably doing it wrong, but I just saw in the end the way I wanted my characters to react and behave, it made more sense for me to just do a roundabout way instead of using the built-in tool. But I am using this to control their health, how fast they move, who they are attacking, when they're at, what their activation radius is, so when they start chasing after me, and then actually I'm using it to control its death. So when that E variable gets set to 4, it will trigger an animation, a dying animation, and some other stuff which I'll show you later. So let's take a look. Anyways, it has a standard collide when move. That's what this big oval thing is. So every few seconds it's scanning those variables to tell it what to do, and this is, I guess, where the logic kind of comes in. So variable E1, when it's equal to 1, it's setting, all it's doing is just setting an animation, and it's just triggering, telling them to stand up and be alert. So they stand up, they start looking around, but they're not doing anything yet. But that is what I have as kind of their idle. Their idle is them standing around, being alert. And so that's what I think also why I wanted to do it this way, because I kind of had this extra phase that I wanted my characters to be in. I wanted them to start off sitting around, and then when they're triggered to be alert to my presence, that's when they get into their idle mode. And then that's what this next step is. So when the variable goes to 2, it switches over to the next state, which is chase after me. They gotta run after me. Now, the game actor isn't great. I don't love how slow it is sometimes to turn around. I don't like how it's not very consistent in how far or close an enemy will stop towards you, but whatever. It's better than nothing. It's kind of almost, it's good enough, right? But I'm kind of hoping to just add a few more of my own flares to this. So okay, variable is 2. What are they doing when we reach variable 2? We're switching to another animation state, which is run. So now they're running after me. And what I'm also doing is, because what's happening, and you'll see this in a second, is everything is being triggered by proximity sensors. So what would happen is if you left the proximity of the running, it would go back to like an idle mode sort of thing, and I didn't want that. I just wanted, you know what, once they're going after me, they're not stopping. Because, oh yeah, another reason why why I didn't want that is because, you know, they're chasing after you and you're running away, you're freaking out, and then all of a sudden you get out of that proximity and then they just stop and they're like chilling out, having a cigarette. You're like, well, I could just easily kill them from where I'm standing, right? Like, it just didn't seem very exciting or interesting. So I made it so that once you enter that proximity, it will delete that first proximity sensor, so it will never re-enter that, and therefore it will always keep wanting to chase you. And then it's moving by a vector. Oh yeah, this is just like, sorry, this is because the variable this action is being triggered by every few seconds, so that's like every 10 milliseconds. This is just giving it a tiny little bounce. The reason why I did that is because on the odd occasion, it would, I noticed my characters would sometimes just get stuck, I think, like on like something on probably on the geometry that I have, which isn't the cleanest geometry. And this was just sort of like an insurance to keep the character moving so that he didn't get stuck. So, you know, and their animations and their motions are already so jerky and fast that a little tiny bounce I thought is only going to add to the aesthetic I'm looking for. So it's a way to kind of keep them from getting stuck. And yeah, you can't really even notice that. So what happens when we go to variable 3? So variable 3 now is when we are in close proximity to the character. So what they do then is basically they just stop moving, and because actually the game actor will do that. So at that point the game actor is just like, all right, we're close enough to start attacking the player, and at this point all it's doing is cycling an animation cycle of the character swiping at me. And last but not least, what triggers this? I think when you, oh yeah, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I'll say. When the game actor, here, when the game actor dies, action on die, it sets that variable to 4. So when it reaches 4, it will do its death sequence. What's the death sequence? Well, what it's going to do is, first of all, it's going to delete all those other proximities just so that they don't accidentally mess up. Because what I noticed is if I leave them there as I walk away or something, or get out of its like a state that it was in, which is I think state 3 or whatever, it will suddenly pop back to life. I don't want that. He's dead. He's dead. So we're committing to killing off those other proximity sensors and playing a death animation cycle. And then I have this do something later action, which is a custom action. One of the one of the big brains in our community made, and it's super awesome. So basically it's saying, when this switches to 4, wait till a second and a half, which is about as long as it takes for this animation cycle to finish, and then change position. So it's what it does is just by vector, it's just moving him down and into the ground. It's just a way of getting my dead character out of the way, because what I'm also going to do is at 6 seconds, once that that animation happens, and once he sinks through the ground, boom, I'm going to delete it, gone. So hopefully, hopefully my goal was that hopefully this means that it'll kind of not be in memory anymore and not create a problem for me down the road. So so yeah, that's kind of the logic in a nutshell. I tried to keep it as simple and basic as I could. And so let's look at the proximities. So proximity 1, this is the widest one, and it's like set to 150, and that's the one where if I enter that, he's alert to me. He's like, huh, someone, I heard something, like I heard someone, they're close by, and he'll just stand up and he'll start looking around. And so once you enter it, all it's doing is set that variable to 1. Now the next variable, now this one is slightly different. It's just in that its distance is set to 125, which matches the game actor activation proximity, because what it's doing is the same thing. The game actor just controls its motion and speed, but this will control its animation and stuff. So once it reaches inside that proximity, what I want it to do, I want it to switch to the variable, switch this variable to 2, so that way it gets into its run state. And now at this point, all it's doing is changing that animation cycle and chasing after me. Now what it's doing, now this is the third one. This is when I get close enough to to actually get hit by this guy. So at this point, all it's doing is at 25, distance of 25, when I enter it, it's switching that variable to 3. And to 3, okay, let's, before I get to that. And so variable 3 switches him to the animation cycle where he's punching me in the face. So what else is it doing though? When I leave the radius though, it has to, I have to basically, what am I doing? I set it up so that when he's not hitting me at this point, he's chasing after me nonstop. So this is just going to refresh that variable back to 2. So it'll go back to that animation run cycle, and he's just going to keep chasing me till one of us dies. And that's kind of it. I just threw in a little light underneath there so they look a little more scary. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, so here, let's look at these guys a little bit. What I have set up here is I made it so that I did the old technique of if you right mouse click on this, modify selection and attach node to animated joint. So in this case I attached it to the joint called left hand, because that's the hand he's punching me in the face with, and I just added a hitbox, just like a cube, and so that every time I made it so that the hitbox looks for contact with the player, because that's one thing to just look out for, as opposed to doing it the other way around, saying the player has a hitbox and every time this character punches me in the face I change the health. Well, if there's like 20 enemies in the shot, then you have to count for every single one of those enemies. But if each enemy has this thing on it, then all it has to do is look for the one thing, and this is easier to manage. So on proximity, do something. It's a box. The box, the size of the box is exact same size as the cube. And near to what? So the cam hitbox. That's what it's going to get in contact with when it enters the radius. So what's it gonna do? Well, it's gonna knock the health down from the health thingamajigger. From the health variable. My God, my brain is going out to lunch. This got me thinking about something. On hit. Yeah, I don't even know if I need this. Oh yeah, you know, I probably don't. I'm gonna test it out without this, because if these boxes are making contact with that and they are setting the variable, then the cam hitbox doesn't need this, but I'll have to test that out. The one other thing I did, and this is one of these things that it's like if I had planned, you know, if I was psychic and I planned ahead, initially I had these big dreams that, you know, I don't know, these helmets would just be randomly generated when the game started, so then I don't know, I just thought it would be cool, this and that way it would, you know, they'd feel more random. But and if I'd planned better ahead, I would have just made these helmets part of the model. But you know what, actually I take that back, because each enemy, their character model is exactly the same. They are the same character essentially, and this, by having it separate, made it so that I can pick and choose which of the 3 helmets I made to pop on the characters. So, you know, in the end I guess it kind of worked out. And I did the same, attached it to the rig the same way I did the hand hitbox. I just went into the enemy boy and modify selection, attach node animated joint, and I think this one was I just remember the bone for this rig being called end or something like that. I don't know where it is. It's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, here we go. Top head, top end. Anyways, and yeah, just attached the helmet and boom, like it ended up perfectly. I didn't really have to do any extra positioning. Maybe I had to enlarge it a tiny little bit, But that's kind of it in a nutshell. So the one thing I think initially when I was going on the Discord group and I was really asking for ways to see if there's ways I could do this without using variables, um, was because and you know what, it didn't matter even variables or not. It would be impossible to do this because what I wanted to try and do is keep all the logic as self-contained as possible, so then that way I could just easily boom copy and paste and populate as many enemies around this location as I wanted. The problem is that even with each time, and it's just one of these things. You just in this case I just have to do is that every time I copy and paste one of these, I have to add a new variable, and then I have to go into all these and make sure they're connecting to the right variable, and then make sure all these are doing the right thing, and this or basically every single thing I just have to make sure it's like all these animation cycles, they're pointing to the right E-boy. It's an extra 5 minutes work per character, but I'm not going to have 200 of these guys. Probably in this level I'm going to have 3, 6, 9, maybe 10 enemies, so I got 3 of them done already, so there we go. Anyway, here, why don't I play it instead of rambling on, and let's take a look. Let's see what my settings are at. I'll make it nice and big. 1920 by 1080 full screen. Alright, let's see it in action. Alright, everyone's on the ground. We're in my landscape. Everyone's chilling out. There's no fire pit in this right now, but they're all sitting around. Now you'll see, I start getting closer. Oh, he's alert to me. Now he knows. It's like, wait, I heard a stick crack. So now what I actually kind of like is that they're not all alerted at the same time. They're kind of almost like individuals. Like the one guy heard it, but not the other guy. But if I get a little closer, now the other guy heard it too. And the third guy's a little bit farther, so he's not going to hear me until I get a little bit closer. But let's see, now I'm going to kind of cross that threshold of where they're going to start chasing after me. Whoa! Ah! So now they're chasing after me. Thankfully, they're not colliding with each other too badly. But you'll see once they get close to me, they'll start hitting me. Oh, actually, why is it not working? Oh, there we go. Now you can see my health in the top left corner going down. It's like 70%, now 65. And if I keep sticking around here, I'm going to be dead soon. So I'm going to run away, and I'll start shooting them, and you can see how they die. Who's going to go first? Maybe this guy. Kill him. He fell forward. See him sinking into the ground? He's sinking, and then he should be gone by now. And let's shoot this guy. Oh, that guy died too. He's fell backwards. Bye, buddy. And one guy left. There we go. That, in a nutshell, is kind of it. Now, let's go around shooting stuff. Anyway, I hope this video, it's longer than my last one, that's for sure, but I hope it helps. I hope it's inspirational. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions in the comments of the video, or catch me on Discord. I think, what am I? I'm either Moorbot or Morris. So you'll find me there. All right, talk to you later on oh my god, you know which Discord. Either way, talk to you later. Bye.